Good morning, my dear students. Welcome back to our English class. Today, we are going to take a chapter. It is an anecdote by A.J. Cronin. His full name is Archibald Joseph Cronin, and he was MD, DPH, MRCP, and he was a Scottish novelist and a physician. His career as a novelist started in 1930 when he was designated with a chronic ulcer and was compelled to take 6 months complete rest. So, we are moving to the text. The best investment I ever made. So, which idea you will get at first when you get the word investment? So, there are lots of investment in our life. Sometimes we will keep some money in our bank. So, it is a type of investment. We will purchase a land. So, it is a type of investment. So, here we have to check what type of investment Mr. A.J. Cronin has made in his life. So, shall we start? On the second day out from New York, while making the round of the promenade deck, I suddenly became aware that one of the passengers was watching me closely, following me with his gaze every time I passed. I wanted to rest to avoid the tedium of casual and importunate shipboard contacts. I gave no sign of having noticed the man. So, you could understand that they were traveling in a ship on the voyage. So, it is an anecdote. On the second day out from New York, they have started their journey from New York. While making the round of promenade deck. What do you mean by promenade? It's a public place for walking in a ship. Promenade deck, I suddenly became aware that one of the passengers was watching me closely. So, who is I here? I is the author, Mr. A.J. Cronin. He noticed that one of the passengers was looking at him very closely, following me with his gaze every time I passed. So, he was walking here and there in promenade deck, and while passing at that time, he noticed that one of the passengers was looking at him very closely. I wanted to rest to avoid the tedium of casual. Tedium, what is the meaning of tedium? Boredom. And importunate shipboard contacts, importunate. Suppose if you are going for a long travel, long journey, surely there should be some people that they would come and ask you, what is your name, where are you going, and what are you doing, like that. So, such type of contacts Mr. A.J. Cronin didn't like. So, he wanted to avoid such type of ship contacts here. So, that is why he didn't notice that man. He could understand that that man was noticing him very closely, but at the same time here he didn't give any sign of having noticed that man. Yet there was nothing importunate about him. So, that person didn't come and ask him anything. On the contrary, he seemed affected by a troubled, rather touching diffidence. Diffidence means it's the opposite of confidence. So, A.J. Cronin could understand that that person wanted to tell him something. At the same time, he had no confidence to come and meet him. He was in his early 40s, rather short in build, with a fair complexion and clear blue eyes. His thin hair had begun to recede from his forehead. His dark suit, sober tie, and rimless spectacles gave evidence of a serious and reserved disposition. At this point, the bugle sounded for dinner and I went below. So, what type of a person was that, a stranger? So, from this part, you will get the character sketch of that person. So, what type of a person was he? So, he was almost around 40 years of age. Here, he was in his early 40s, rather short in build. He was a short person with a fair complexion. He had fair complexion, white in color, and clear blue eyes. He had clear blue eyes. His thin hair had begun to recede. Recede meaning stop growing. So, almost he had reached at 40 and almost all the hair stopped growing. The recede from his forehead. His dark suit, sober tie. Tie was not clear. not in a clean way, and rimless spectacles gave evidence of a serious and reserved disposition. Disposition means qualities of a natural qualities of a person. So, what type of a person was that stranger? He was 40 years of age. He had clear blue eyes. He was wearing a rimless spectacles. He was wearing dark suit, a sober tie, and almost his thin hair had begun to stop growing. And one more thing, he had fair complexion and he was short in build. So, at that time they heard the sound of bugle and they could understand that it was for the dinner. So, they went below. So, what happened? On the following forenoon, I again observed my fellow voyager watching me earnestly from his deck chair. Now, a lady was with him, obviously his wife. So, that day was over at that time, and next day morning also, Mr. A.J. Cronin noticed that the same person was watching him very closely. At this time, a lady was with him and it was very clear that that lady was his wife. The situation by this time had begun to intrigue me. So, that time actually he was very excited to know about that person. I discovered from my steward that they were Mr. and Mrs. John S. from a small suburb of London. When another day passed without even, I began to feel certain that Mr. S. would remain too shy to carry out his obvious desire to approach me. So, he wanted to know something about that person. So, he got the news from his steward, from his manager, maybe any roommate, that that person was Mr. S. and the lady with him was Mrs. S. and they were from the small suburb of London, a small village of London. And another day was also passed without any great event, and I began to feel certain that Mr. S. would remain too shy to carry out his obvious desire to approach me. That time Mr. A.J. Cronin could understand that he was too shy to approach him. He wanted to tell him something. At the same time, he couldn't approach him because he was too shy to reach there. However, on our final evening at sea, Mrs. S. decided the matter. With a firm pressure on his hand and a whispered word in his ear, she urged her husband towards me as I passed along the deck. So, that day was the final day of their voyage, and that day Mrs. S., wife of Mr. John, she wanted to talk with him whatever the reason. So, she was sure that her husband would not come and meet A.J. Cronin. So, she compelled him to come and meet Mr. A.J. Cronin. "Excuse me, doctor, I wonder if I might introduce myself." He spoke almost breathlessly, offering me the visiting card he held in his hand and studying my face to see if the name meant anything to me. So, both of them came there and he handed over his visiting card there to Mr. A.J. Cronin, and he was saying that he thought that after reading the name in that visiting card, he would be Mr. A.J. Cronin could realize who should be that stranger. Then, as it plainly did not, he went on with the same awkwardness. "If you could spare a few minutes, my wife and I would like to have a word with you." So, he could understand that after reading the name in that visiting card also, he couldn't understand, he couldn't realize who should be that person. So, what happened there? He was asking him to spend a few minutes with him. He and his wife wanted to say something to him. A moment later, I was occupying the vacant chair beside them. Haltingly, he told me that this had been their first visit to America. It was not entirely a holiday trip. They had been making a tour of the New England states, inspecting many of the summer recreational camps for young people there. So, they started to stop. Haltingly, in between, he was stopping. He was taking some breath also. He told me that this had been their first visit to America. So, where were they going? They were going to America. And it was not entirely, completely a holiday trip. It was not a holiday trip as others are going. For what purpose they were going? They had been making a tour of the New England states, inspecting many of the summer recreational camps for young people there. So, what was the purpose of going to America there? So, they wanted to visit New England states, inspecting many of the summer recreational camps which should be conducted for recreation for young people there. Afterwards, they had visited settlement houses in New York and other cities to study the methods employed in dealing with cases of backward, maladjusted and delinquent youth. So, delinquent meaning a tendency to commit mistakes. Maladjusted and emotional and mental problem that lead to commit mistakes. So, they wanted to know what are the methods they used to handle such type of people there. So, where were they going? They were going to New England states and they wanted to know what are the methods they used in summer recreational camps and settlement houses. What do you mean by settlement houses? Settlement houses are the places which should be what we can say. So, settlement houses are sponsored by the church or any educational institutions for them. So, here they wanted to know what are the methods they use to provide such type of person, those who are maladjusted and delinquent. Use maladjusted, I told you, having mental and emotional problem that leads to commit mistake, and same meaning here also delinquent. What is the meaning of delinquent? A tendency to commit crimes. There was in his voice and manner, indeed in his whole personality, a genuine enthusiasm that was disarming. So, now he was interested in talking with Mr. John. Till this time, he was not at all interested and he was not giving any notice there. But at this time, here disarming. So, having an interest towards a person. I found myself liking him instinctively. Questioning him further, I learned that he and his wife had been active for the past 15 years in the field of youth welfare. So, what were they doing? For the past 15 years, both of them, Mr. John and Mrs. John, they had been active in the field of youth welfare. He was by profession a solicitor. Who is a solicitor? An advocate. But in addition to his practice at the courts, found time to act as director of a charitable organization devoted to the care of boys and girls, mostly from city slums who had fallen under the ban of the law. So, what were they doing? Mostly they had given importance to the boys and girls, especially from city slums, local areas of city, and those who had fallen under the ban of the law. So, such type of case, maladjusted and delinquent use. So, they might have done any type of crimes, surely they would be punished by the law. So, such type of persons, for the welfare of such type of persons, he and his wife had been working for the last 15 years. So, in this class, what are the things we have told? So, he was traveling in a ship, in a voyage. It was an anecdote I told you. And who wrote this story? A.J. Cronin. Here he was walking in a promenade deck. Promenade deck, I told you, it's a public place for walking in a ship, and he noticed that one of the passengers was looking at him very closely, but he didn't want to have a contact with any type of such importunate shipboard contact. So, he didn't give any sign of having noticed that person. So, next time also he could understand that that person wanted to tell him something. At the same time, he had no confidence to meet and tell Mr. A.J. Cronin. And what type of a person was that stranger? He was around 40 years of age. Then he was a short person. He had fair complexion. He had clear blue eyes. Then his thin hair had stopped to grow. Then he was wearing a dark suit. Then he was wearing a sober tie and rimless spectacles. All these things have given him a serious evidence of a serious reserved disposition. So that day was over. In the next day also, he noticed that the same person was looking at him very closely, but at this time a lady was with him and he was sure that that lady would be his wife. And okay, from his steward he could understand that they were from a small suburb of London, local area of a small village of London, and that time Mrs. S was so confident to talk with him. So they together came there and he handed over a visiting card to him, and he thought that after reading the name in that visiting card, surely Mr. A.J. Cronin could recognize him. But after reading the name also, he couldn't recognize that person, so he requested some minutes to talk with him. So here he was saying the story, and they were going to America, and it was not a pleasure trip as we are going, and they wanted to visit summer recreational camps and settlement houses to know the methods given by those guys to develop the lifestyle of maladjusted and delinquent youth. So this time he started to have an interest to talk with that person, and here he told Mr. John told Mr. A.J. Cronin that he and his wife had been very active in the last 15 years in the field of youth welfare, and by profession Mr. John was a solicitor, and in addition to his work in the court, he found time to work as a director of a charitable organization, and they were giving interest to boys and girls from city slums, local areas or city, and who had fallen under the ban of the law. So you have to read this part for 5 times, and I will ask you questions in the next class.